Hello everyone, welcome back, and today we are going to discuss how to play the Queen's Gambit Ragozin Defense with the white pieces. And we are going to check it out by looking at the game played by Ding Liren versus Zhihang, 2000 rated player against Ding Liren, who is 2700 rated player. And this game was played in 2014 and the game is very instructive. And I guess you all guys are going to love this game, so let's check it out. So, with the white pieces, Ding starts with 1d4. We have Queen's Gambit, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. And I'm assuming this setup is absolutely common in this position. I think many of the viewers watching is place this opening, knight c3, bishop to b4, bishop to g5. We have the Ragozin Defense on the board, and here there are many moves already to continue the game. Black plays h6 or even castles. I guess these two are the main move in the position. In the game we have short castle, e3, and from this point onwards, black goes for playing the move h6. There are many moves to continue this position. Black can play knight d7, black can play h6, black sometimes even capture the pawn, play c6, even b6. There are many moves, but the most common and the most played move in the position is to play h6. And in this position, white can simply continue the game with bishop to h4. You can also capture the knight. This is also a completely fine move. It's an opening theory, but that's the point. You play bishop h4. And after bishop h4, the main move in this position is to play c5. You're pushing up the c5. White's king is in the center. You try to open up the center because your king is safe. And there are some ideas of queen a5 tricks like hitting the knight on c3. So after c5, Ding decides to capture the pawn on d5. And you have to capture with the pawn because if you try to capture with the queen, I can simply grab the knight and your pawn structure is already extremely bad. And you can't capture with the knight because you lose the queen. So pawn takes, and here Ding simply played bishop to e2. So all those who are thinking like after pawn takes, can black go for capturing this pawn because black is hitting the knight. Like after pawn takes, white can simply capture the pawn with the queen, hits the bishop, the pawn is safe, and white is already better in this position. Like after takes, queen takes, knight into d5, white can play queen d2, and white is better in this position. Bishop c4, short castle, the queen is hanging currently, and white is better. So basically the main move is to capture the pawn, and here comes bishop to e2 by Ding. And here we have g5 by black. Okay. So now there are many players from the black side who are kind of afraid to play the moves like g5, like expanding on the king side. And there are many players who know the theory. They always go for playing the move g5 because it's the theory. Yeah, it's the main move. And g5 is actually a very necessary move in this position for black. All those who are afraid of expanding the king side, I guess this particular position, it's completely hard for them to play this. So after bishop e2, if I consider any secondary move at the place of playing g5, like for example if pawn takes, here white can simply continue the game with a knight in d4, and this position is already good for white because black is having the isolated pawn on d5. And if black tries to capture this and telling white that you are also having the pawn on c3, a weak isolated pawn, but guys, this pawn is comparatively much weaker than the d5 pawn, and this pin is also bad, and white is also having the bishop pair in this position, which gives white a pretty good advantage. So that's kind of the reason. And after bishop e2, if you don't want to play g5, you can play up the move of c4. And if you try to play a move like queen f5, hitting the knight, here white can simply capture the knight, and after bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, here we can play knight to d2. You can't play queen d2 because you lose the rook. So you have to play the knight, and after pawn takes, rook c1, you can capture the c5 pawn, and you can already sense black king is extremely weak, and you can simply win the game by white. So that's the point. Playing queen f5 is not a good idea. c4 is kind of the best move, and here white can play the move knight to d2, and here white idea on the next move is to capture the knight, and after queen takes, you can capture the pawn on d5. So you have to capture the knight because you don't want to play g5. So takes, pawn takes, and now knight to c6. And here white can simply play the move e4, very strong move. And after g5, you actually have to play g5 in this position. Or else if you try to play a move like pawn takes, knight into e4, and extremely bad for black. You have to play now g5. It's the fourth move. And after takes, bishop g3. The pawn structure, the king, everything is bad for black. So after e4, you have to play g5, and after back, pawn takes. Here, white can come up with a very good move, h4, hitting on the king side. Basically, the idea is to provoke black to play g4, and here white can simply capture the pawn on c4, and this pawn is going to be comparatively weak in the future. And as black is also not having dark square bishop, so dark squares are in complete control of the dark square bishop of white. And so basically at the place of g4, black can play e3, but now you can simply grab the pawn, rook e8, short castle takes, bishop f2, you can't capture, knight b1. And surprisingly, the rook is simply trapped on c3. There is not a single move in the board that black rook can survive. So it's going to be lost, it's going to be winning for white. So yeah, so that's what happened. If black goes for c4, you can continue with now knight d2, bishop f3. In the game we have g5, which is the main move, bishop to g3, and now knight to e4, hitting the knight. And it looks extremely dangerous for white because black pieces are all jumping in. Black have castled, black is jumping in with the pieces. It looks extremely bad for white, but it's surprisingly good for white. Rook c1, queen f5, and in this position, Ding plays move d into c5. Like, many things are happening on the knight on c3, and at first glance it looks like you should try to protect the c3 square at somehow like moving the queen to c2 or b3. But Ding is like, let me capture the pawn on c5. Like after c5, if you try to capture the pawn on c5, then white can simply capture white can simply castle, and the d5 pawn is extremely weak. Your king side pawn structure is extremely bad. White is already better. So you kinda have to play the move knight into c3, which was happening in the game. Pawn takes, bishop takes, check. If black goes for capturing the knight with the bishop, pawn takes, and now this, now queen d2 is surprisingly winning for white because black loses the piece. So you have to capture with the knight, takes, and now king to f1, moving the king simply, and now knight to c6. So after king f1, there are many moves to consider in this position. A practical move, it looked like black can play bishop g7, like simply protecting the king. But after queen into d5, it's already good for white in this position because bishop d6 is coming on. Like after rook d8, bishop d6, white is better in this position. Like after g3, king g2, and white should be better. So, and if you try to play a move like bishop to e6, like defending the d5, but now suddenly h4, white strikes on the king side. And if you try to play a move like g4, or else if you don't do anything, white is going to capture queen d3, and it's going to be a mate. You have to push, and now knight to d4 in this position, and the position is good for white because I'm going to capture the bishop on the next move, followed by capturing the pawn on g4 on the next move. If you try to play a move like h5, it's completely winning for white because of knight b3 now. And the logic is simple. If you try to play a move like defending the bishop, for example like this, I can play a3, forcing the queen to capture, and I can capture the bishop, and I'm a piece up. So it's a very complicated position. You must know the theory. That's the reason I'm making the video. So okay. So after king f1, knight is the most natural move in the position and the best. Bishop to d6. You're hitting the rook. You are also protecting the pawn. Rook to e8. And in this position, Ding Liren made an inaccuracy by playing the move h4. It looks like a very sharp move. You are opening up on the king's side. You want to open up the rook file. It's a very natural idea. But guys, here's my question. What are you going to play in this position from the white side? This move is extremely mind-blowing. And I'm pretty sure after seeing this move, you're going to be all surprised. So what are you going to play in this position from the white side? Okay, so all those who have came up with the move, like there are many common moves in the position to continue the game. One move looks like to capture the pawn on d5, but it's not a good idea because of bishop e6. And black is already getting some counterplay, like you're giving some tempos to black. h4 was already inaccuracy, I told you, but all those who have found the move, g4, kudos to you. If you found this move, it's extremely sharp, it's extremely winning. I'm not having any words. It's a brilliant move, I would say. g4, you're basically stacking a pawn. We have to check it. What happens if black captures the pawn? If bishop into g4, now h4. Very sharp move. If you capture the pawn, rook g1, the bishop is attacked. If you try to protect it, knight into pawn. If you try to go back with the bishop, or else f3 is coming up, or else I can even capture the bishop. You have to go back, takes, queen g4. The game is all collapsed for black, and the game is completely winning for white. And if you try to make a move like f5, trying to protect the bishop, queen into d5, and I guess this should be over for white. There is not. It should be over for black because black is having nothing, just a naked king. So yeah, capturing the pawn doesn't make any sense. A move like bishop f6 makes a sense because you are basically protecting the pawn. But now comes hg, queen to d3, simply threatening mate in 1. You have to make a move, fourth move, rook to e4, blocking the king. But now comes an incredibly sharp move, knight into g5, hitting the rook. And here there are two moves. You can capture the knight or you can capture the bishop. If you capture the bishop, I'm going to capture the queen, takes, queen h5, and the game is over. The bishop is hanging, the mate is hanging. And you can't protect everything. So yeah, you have to capture the knight. It's a fourth move. And now comes bishop into g4. And after bishop into g4, bishop f5 is coming in. You can't capture because it's one movement. If you try to make a move like queen into a2, bishop f5 hitting the rook, you move the rook, rook g1, pinning up the bishop, f6, check, takes, and I guess you can already sense that this king is not going to escape from white's hand, and the game is completely winning in this position. I can even sack the rook on the next move and can play something like this. Though the knight is covering the square, but it's completely winning. So yeah, so this is what happens. It's extremely hard to calculate what to play in this position. It's completely winning. If you try to make a move like bishop into f3, trying to trade off as many pieces as possible, bishop into f3, now what? Now what are you even going to do? Knight e4, knight e5 hitting the bishop, bishop into pawn. And boom, again this is hanging. Everything is collapsing. There is no move in this position for black to play. Black to continue even the game. So g4 is simply extremely strong move, and the idea of playing g4 in this position is at the place of h4, because after h4, black is having the move g4. You are basically stopping black from making the move g4 by playing g4. And if you won't capture the pawn by playing bishop into g4, and if you play something else like playing a move like d4, trying to open up the center, because the king is in the center, not in the center but on the king side, but still. If d4, still h4, we don't care. Pawn takes, we capture on the king side, bishop into g4, we push the pawn g6. It's extremely sharp move. If you capture queen check and you lose the bishop, and it's winning for white because white is a piece up. And if you won't capture and you play something else like a move like queen into a2, now pawn takes, queen takes, you capture the bishop, it's still losing. And if you simply move the bishop back, now pawn takes, king takes, rook c4, the bishop is hanging, rook c4 is coming in, queen d5 is coming in, the game is all over. So many things are happening, as you can see. So what happened in the game was, okay, so in the game we had h4, and after h4 we have g4 by black. So knight to g5 by Ding, takes, queen to d3. You can also capture the pawn, and the basic idea here is to play queen d3 and trying to threaten the mate. It looks like Ding simply sacked the piece. Yes, it's the prep. No chess player is going to sack a piece like that if in the opening if it is not his prep. Okay, basically the point is to sack the knight and get the open rook 5. So black captured queen d3 first, capturing the bishop, hitting the bishop, and here we have knight to d5, knight to e5. Best move in this position would have been simply go back with the bishop, and after hg, don't get afraid of this check, but to play a move like rook you can play rook e4 or even rook e7, and after rook e4, if you try to capture the pawn here, we simply have rook we simply have the move like rook e5 in this position. Even rook e6 also survives the game somehow, because like if you try to play a move like queen d3, it's still threatening. Now we have the move rook into d6, and after pawn takes, we simply have bishop f5, 2 minor piece for the rook, and the position is equal. But I guess it's already hard for his Ding's opponent to digest that the GM has already made a piece sack. So equalize the position compared to the material wise, but the position is now better for white because of the bishop pin. Pawn takes, rook takes a knight move, rook come, rook here, bishop takes. If you try to capture the rook, here we have bishop into f7, and you basically lose too many pawns, and Ding is going to simply destroy black because of the bishop pair. The power of the bishop pair, basically. F into e6, rook to g4, rook to h8, e4, check, takes, king f5, rook b4, push, takes. And on the move number 31, Ding's opponent, Zhihang, decides to resign the game, and we have the winner, Ding Liren. Extremely powerful game, extremely instructive game, I guess. So all those who are looking for a move, looking for the opening, how to play against the Ragozin, or how to continue the game in the Ragozin defense, I guess this video can be very helpful for you. And all those who are looking for this video, make sure to share this video with everyone, and make sure to like the video if you really like this content. I'm going to come out with these instructive videos like this. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new to our channel, and make sure to click the notification bell for the upcoming videos. So I'm going to see you soon. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching Oneshot Chess.